Toastmaster Rahul.
15th March 2019, my second child was born. And while my community and my family and friends were congratulating me, my father came to me and told me, "When are you planning for your third child?" Seems old school, right?
Yes.
But he stood by what he said, and he taught me that I indeed need a third child. And over the next 15 to 20 minutes, I hope each one of you all, with the number of children that you have, I would want each one of you all to plan your next child, whatever be your age. Good morning, Toastmasters, Toastmaster of the day, Toastmasters and guests. I've always looked up to my father for the wise man that he is. We are a family of 3 siblings and a family of 5. Back when the year I was born in 1986, he decided, not everyone knows this, but he decided to have a secret child. That's a child that since then, he decided he was unwavering in his commitment to the child. I understand there could be rumpus about all this idea of how having a secret child is scary, but he stood by what he believed in, and every year the amount of money that he invested in my education was the same amount that he invested in that child. Year after year, to the T, he followed that discipline until the period I graduated. I did my post-graduation and completed in 2008. Allow me to introduce you the secret child of my father. Gold. Today, we come from a family which has a legacy of 4 years into gold jewelry business. I've been into the business for the past 11 years, and day in and day out, the underlying asset or the underlying commodity of the gold jewelry industry is gold. I've been tracking it and observing how the gold works. Not the jewelry business per se, but how the asset, the commodity gold works. And so today I'm here not to make you an appeal to buy jewelry as a sentiment or as an artifact or as a jewelry, but a compelling case of what gold can do to your life. What's going to come up? To give you the statistics of how things changed, a simple number of how gold works, then the 5 reasons of why you should invest in gold, and the forms of investing in which you can engage in investing in gold, and then I'll come up to the important segment of question answers, which I'll be open to answer anything that you have a query about. First and foremost, any guesses the value of that investment in the secret child that my father had? For the amount that he invested, today, as of today, he's retired and he's over 60. And the value of that investment that he invested equal amount of what he did in my education, the value of that investment is over 14 times the amount that he invested. I'm not going to give you the figures for the sake of safety, but that is how the amount has grown. If you look at the chart behind me, that's where the gold and the weight has performed over the years, right from the time that I was born, 1986, to what it is today. To give you a simple statistics, cumulative average growth annually, the figures are, for 38 years, it has grown at an average of 9.7% cumulatively. Over the last 10 years, almost 11%. Over the last 4 years, almost 16%. And the last 1 year, 2024 alone, gold is up by more than 25%. That's the figure of how gold has changed. And to give you a simple statistic, if you had invested 50 grams of gold since 1986 till today, which is almost like 20 years, you would have invested something like 35 lakh rupees in investment of the money that you have taken. And the worth of that 35 lakhs today, as of today's price, is 1.6 crores. That's the ability and the power of what gold did. That's a past. So this is how numbers are. Now comes the question. How many of you have seen that gold has risen during Akshaya Tritiya, Dhanteras, Diwali? Yes, everyone? I woke up yesterday morning. I woke up today morning. I will wake up tomorrow morning. The sun is rising. I am waking up and so the sun is rising. Works? That is how we have been believed in the myth that the sentiment of what we look at a specific festive occasion and how gold performs. Let me give you the nuts and bolts of how gold performs or what drives the gold prices. There are 4 elements to it in the Indian context. Please note I'm talking of India because there's an element of currency also which makes the numbers different. The first and foremost thing is the gold price in itself. Internationally, gold is traded in ounce, which is 31.1 grams. And that's the price that you see. So as an example, today the price of gold is $2,700 per ounce divided by 31.1. Then you add to that the currency exchange rate which is happening. Multiply that with the customs duty which is currently at 6% for getting the gold into the country. And when you buy something, you're paying the GST on it, which is 3%. So this is what the nuts and bolts of how gold works. And it's purely a case of demand and supply. The dynamics of what drives the demand, we'll be talking of it. That's a much bigger talk. But there are elements which are in play, not driven by some myth that the sentiment is what has worked. Why do you believe in that gold is working on Akshaya Tritiya or Dhanteras? Is because of the record that it has had of consistently over these 38 years. It has risen every single year for 32 years out of these 39 years. That's the track of how gold has performed. And so it is easier for us to believe sentimentally or emotionally, attaching it to the dynamics of how the festivities come and how the value of gold is increasing. It's the other way around. Now comes the 5 things which make me believe that each one of you all must look at gold as a compelling investment. In the good old days, I used to have 20 pani puris for 5 rupees. Today, 20 rupees for 5 pieces only. Back in good old day, we used to go to a family weekend for a movie and theater and having some food. We used to spend approximately 100 rupees and the entire family had a great time. Today, it doesn't even serve a popcorn. Water bottle. Look at how the value of what money is doing. If you had put 1 lakh rupees in your pocket in the past, maybe 5 years, 10 years, 20 years ago, or even as a fixed deposit, the value of that money is far lesser today than what it could have purchased. So in case you're preserving your savings in cash or fixed deposits, mind you, you're better off using it today because that's where the value is. Tomorrow, it will be far lesser than what it can fetch today. What are we talking about? Inflation. They say the poor save, the rich invest. The magic in becoming wealthy is in investing, not in saving alone. Now looking at this figure, over the past ages, since the time gold has been present, gold has acted always as a hedge for inflation. Because till 1974, there was an equation that if you have so many ounces of gold in the country, only then you can print so much of money. That was the gold monetary scheme, where they had a rule that you can't print beyond the reserves that you had. But somewhere that system broke down and economies, governments, banks started to print money without you even realize where is it coming in from. There isn't there in the book. In the books it is there. It's as debt or as a loan to the government. But governments are printing money without any equation to what it holds. So if you have a printing press, what do? You will print. But you don't have a mine where you can mine immense or out of proportions. And so gold is limited and gold acts as a hedge or as a preserve of money's value. Cash, fixed deposits is never beaten by inflation. It is always going down because of inflation, while gold always beats inflation over a long period of time. So if you look at this example, in 1990s, you could buy, with 1 kg of gold, you could buy a Maruti 500, Maruti 800, in 95 an Esteem, in 2000 Innova, in 2010 a Fortuner, and today with 1 kg of gold, you can buy a BMW 5 Series. Now you tell how much is your fixed deposit or the cash, if you had kept it in your pockets at that point in time, helped you buy in today's terms. I have a friend who wanted to buy an iPhone, he always kept saving. I'll put 10,000 every month, 20,000 every year, and save it in a period of time. Eventually, the iPhone prices kept on growing, and he had to catch up by selling his kidney to buy an iPhone. Second, it's simple. Gold is just gold. You talk of equities, there are 2,500 listed stocks in BSE, in NSE. You talk of real estate, you talk of property. There are 2,500 mutual funds which you can choose from. In real estate, you can buy this property, you can go to Shankarpalli, or you can go to Shamshabad and buy property. The dynamics of choice in gold are very different than what it is in any other class. Gold is just gold. It could be a purity element, or it could be something which is connected to it. But the choice of gold is far more simple. The ease of dealing. If you look at the global acceptance, this is a gold. If this were to be a 1 kg gold, you're carrying 80 lakhs and you can travel to anywhere in the world if you have the bill, obviously. Imagine carrying 80 lakh cash. Imagine the charges in the bank account when you want to transfer or convert your currency. The price difference can be there, but it's globally accepted. When you look at the other exchange, storage. I got this in my pocket today. If it was real, 80 lakhs in my pocket. At the house, you can talk of a bank locker, whatever form of safety that you want to store, you can do it. The usage, few years back when my wife wanted a gift, she wanted a car, I said, let's buy gold. While it presented itself as a sparkling option, the reality was, today that's worth double the what I paid. Now look at it when compared to the other elements of what I could have bought and the value of that. So it's an easy choice when your wife asks for gold or your mother asks for gold. It's also something that they can use. I've never seen somebody carry their mutual funds or fixed deposits on their neck and roam around. So it's also a gifting option. The liquidity, the unit size, you can buy gold for or as small as, if you're doing the online option, you can buy it as small as 1,000 rupees as well. And there's no complex paperwork. Today, if I want to sell this, I can right now go and encash it from any pawnbroker or any jeweler that is there within approximately of 1 kilometer from here right now. No complex paperwork. The last one standing, and the most important thing, one element which makes gold is, it's a world's insurance policy. It's the last one standing. If you talk of the different elements which have come up, 2008 housing boom, housing crisis, Lehman, oil crisis, you talk of Brexit, COVID-19, Russia, today US debt crisis, any crisis, gold is up. Gold sustains the test of time of any crisis, and it is the perceived value of what gold holds. If you talk of the fundamental elements of risk and reward, the definition of good investing, they say you get a certain risk and you try to get the best return. But if you get the higher risk, there's also a case of lower return and far deeper. 2008 equities, if you are investing there, crashed 55%. 2014 US crisis, equities crashed 27%. Properties, I don't know today when someone comes or how it is taken over and the value of it goes to zero. We don't know if it is registered. There are complexities which are there. The most important element is, the facts of gold are these. Over the past 38 years, on an average, there have been 32 years when it has gone up and 7 years when it has gone down. Only 7 years. The average when it's gone up is 14%, and the lower side, the average is 6.5%. And the maximum at one point in time gold has gone down is not more than 14%. So if you want peace, if you don't want your investment not to come with sugar, BP, tension, stress, this is an option for you. With that, I'll just move to the forms of investment. Physical gold, online form, there are multiple formats in which you can engage in gold today. And the limitations, like I say, it's not all beautiful. It doesn't give you interest, which other forms give, but the capital appreciation is good enough. It has a sentimental value. Today, if you want to sell the gold in your house, you see the people seeing around you. What's the crisis? How bad is it that you're having to sell the gold? There's sentimental value attached to it. The ornament form, if you buy something in ornaments, there's making charge, which is the extra cost that you pay for getting the same amount of gold. And the online, like in any other forms, there are administrative charges, there are charges to maintaining the demat account and things like that. So these are limits that are there in gold. With this, There's a risk statement. Like it's beautifully said, investments are subject to market risk. Hence, buy gold. Because that's what helps you forever. With that, I open it up for any question answers that you have. Yes. I'll come to you next.
So, when you buy gold, how important is it to take a legal documentation that you're buying gold? Because then they charge GST without. I mean, if you're not getting the invoice or the bill, then you buy the gold without GST. But since you have that, I mean, it's a major firm which is selling gold to so many people. It's there in Mota Market.
Yeah.
Different shop. So yeah. So how important, or can we buy gold without any invoice? Is it okay? Is it
Okay, being in the business of gold, I'll tell you this thing. The way it's presented makes a difference. Today, technically, the price that you're seeing often includes GST. While if you're paying in cash, that is where often jewelers use the gimmick to save on the GST part of it. You need to trust. And today, there's an entire market where you can go and test the purity of your gold just to make sure it is pure or what has been said. Is it 22 karat or is it pure? There are umpteen number of centers which have evolved over the period of time. Today it is there. So the fraud case, in case of lack of value or there's being some fraud in it, is far lesser today than what it is in the past. So there are testing centers. You can always go and check the purity of gold. And in case you have the gold, you can always go anywhere to sell it. Unless there's a element of fraud in it, you'll get to know. So it has opened up far more than what it was in the past. Because earlier there was no option of testing, which was open to all. Today it is there. Yes, sir. I'll come to you, Ajit, after this. Yeah.
You talk about what changes the price of gold on a given month. And that somebody want to measure the price dollar per ounce. Why is that fluctuating? What factors determine?
Unlike many other asset classes, gold's value is determined by the perceived value of what it is right now. Two factors primarily drive gold. One is inflation, is what is the globally, if there's a trend of higher inflation, gold will go up because people want to store value by being in gold. And that's why the value goes up. In itself, it doesn't give interest. The second factor is fear. Fear pulls people to gold. They don't trust the fiat currency because it can be printed. As an example, in 2020 during COVID, US printed as much currency as it printed in the last 100 years combined together. Because it survived, because it is a global reserve currency. There's a whole world waiting to still accept dollar. And that is what is changing. And that, because of that, the Russia war and multiple factors, the world has started to see the realities of how dollar has a free, open hand to things. So there's an entire dynamic of fear and trust in the value of money which drives gold. So tomorrow you say, as an example, tomorrow you see there's a crisis somewhere. Russia war. Gold prices went up by 20% the time war was launched. Israel-Iran strike, the war which is happening, or the Federal Reserve rates. It's all open. Fear is what pulls people. And today I can proudly say, I don't trust human intelligence as much as the human stupidity. You never know where one person is gone and the world can be at stake. And that's when gold will be your rescue. Ajit, I'll come to you, sir, next.
Would you argue that gold is the most safest or fastest growing investment? Is that your argument?
No, it is not. Because equities are there. There are multiple things at different points in time, different to look. But if I look at a broader period, it has always acted. That is what the numbers reflect. 7 years. Equities also don't have that record. And the worst years, equities are far more worse. And like I told you, one factor is peace of mind. So instead of cash or FDs, you can always, in smaller quantities, get into gold. That's what helps. Yes, sir. Last two questions. Yeah.
Because you told that we tagged the old price. Because recently Trump has done so good. And so when do you think that when will the interest increase or will it decrease?
I gave the same speech in 2020 with lesser details, obviously. At that point in time, gold is at 4,000. And I've always told HTMers, my friends in HTM, and many of my friends have invested in gold. I've always told you can never ever time the market. Begin where you are, begin with what you have, and like any good plan, split it up. So if you have a time frame of 1 year as an example and you have 5 lakh rupees, go ahead with buying gold for 1 lakh each month. So you'll never suffer with one specific price. So tomorrow, if it's 9,000 or it's 7,000, you still have funds and you're averaging out in the process. I cannot tell when to time. I can tell you, just get in and plan the way you're doing it. Last question, Ravi. I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead. Definitely long term. Today, if you tell me after 25% it's not going to go down, don't believe that. It can go down. But in the long run, I know for sure, and that is what I have my investments in. Apart from the equity or land or property or whatever you talk of, one part of me is always there in gold. Because that's the hedge, that's the buffer that I have at any point in time. Last question. Yeah.
Can they buy e-bonds, gold instead of liquid?
You can always do that. There's liquid funds, there's ETFs which have an exposure to gold, or there's sovereign gold bonds which the government has issued. Luckily, I said there's no income from it. Sovereign gold bonds were issued by the government and giving a coupon of 2.5% every year. That's meager, but because the focus is not on that interest, it's on the capital appreciation.
Whatever price is in
That same price, it's divided by the rate on that day or whatever they're being issued for. You can always buy, and in your demat account, you can keep those gold in your demat account in the electronic form. That option is also there. Beautifully, on Dhanteras Day, Zepto and Blinkit was selling gold, 10-gram coins on cash on delivery. That's the power of how wide the market is and how reachable the market is.
One more last question. Can you
What's the time?
20.
Okay, it's 22 minutes. Yeah, sure, sir.
Recently, I was reading in a magazine saying that new generation is turning up towards diamonds and platinum, non-gold jewelry. So, how you are going to see whether this segment is going to be a threat to the jewelry market of gold?
Again, the standardized part of it is what is challenging. Platinum is 1/3 the cost of what gold is. But if you go to a market today in Hyderabad, I can tell you not more than 5 vendors who can tell you the right price of platinum at which they can buy or sell. When you buy platinum, they'll be taking back from you platinum at approximately 25% cut of what they sold you for. Diamonds, beautiful game. You can never tell if it's a real diamond or not. There's these artificial diamonds, there's lab-grown diamonds, there's so much which has evolved today. So the store of value and standardization and universal part of it is gold. Today, I take a gold bar, go to Panjagutta, Pune, Punjab or Paris. Gold will be gold. With that, I come to a close for this session.